My dear children, I write this letter to you as testimony of my undying love. Deorcus, my beloved, you will honor our goddess more than I ever could. Ricard, my cherished, find your father's steel and face the challenges ahead.
What happened?
She knew Marike was coming for her.
Never forget, the bonds that tie the six of you will be your strength.
Lies. You should have saved her.
She deserves the peace of death.
What an interesting family you must have.
Is that fear I sense? Good.
Stay in the light. Never give into darkness. Your loving mother, Marhin.
Hello everyone, welcome. Hopefully the mic level is good. Are we good? Oh, sorry. Maybe that's a bit better. Okay, so let me know if the sound is good enough, if I'm loud enough, or if the music's too loud. And otherwise, I'll just assume that everything is good. Okay, so people are saying sounds good, all good. Yeah, the cat is right there right now. You cannot see him. He is sleeping. So, all good. Yeah, the cat cam has not been very active the last few streams because unfortunately the cats have not been sleeping in the cat bed. They've been like, sleeping around instead. Actually, let me see because I think my webcam is a little bit too low. There we go. Yeah, that might be better. There we go. You can see me better now and not just the bottom of my head. So, welcome everyone, and for those who've never been in those streams before, so basically I am Mizrim, also known, well, Tactical Mizrim. So I am the community lead of Tactical Adventures, and I'm basically the guy that will make the link between the company and the players. What I do usually is mostly communication, so I will be the guy that will be on Discord when you have questions. I'm the one writing the news, but I'm also the one like working with content creators, or also, which is not part of like the community lead job, but I'm also like very into D&D, so I help a lot on the design side to do, for example, the subclasses. Most of the subclasses, I'm the one doing them, or a lot of the monsters when it comes to like making variants. So, for example, this afternoon, before I was doing the stream, I was working on monsters that will come later on during updates and 1.0, hopefully. And hopefully there will be like quite a lot of them, so that the more you play and the more variety you will encounter. For the moment, for the launch of Early Access, we have a fairly smaller subset of monsters available, but you'll see there will still be quite a few of them, and also a lot of like humanoids, of course, because the roads are never safe. So you'll encounter bandits, wizards, barbarians, and such like stuff like that when you are on the road with random encounters. Ooh, I see people starting to name a few monsters. Let's see. So I see a Naga monster. I see False Hydra. I don't believe False Hydra is I don't believe False Hydra is part of the SRD subset. So as a reminder for those who've never been here, Solasta is based on the SRD, not on the D&D. So D&D is basically the base of SRD. SRD is like a subset of rules that we can use for free because it's a common, what's the name? Common Creative Commons, sorry, all the way around. So we basically can use the rules, but you have to understand that a lot of the spells or that the subclasses or some of the monsters we cannot use because those are copyrighted. For example, we cannot make a Mind Flayer. Mind Flayers are copyrighted, or we cannot make a Beholder, or some of them are also older ones. So you might be like, oh yeah, Beholders, Mind Flayers, those are pretty iconic. But you also have stuff like Displacer Beast, which used to be also part of like the D&D trademark. So Displacer Beasts are not available. And some of you might not even know what they are, because if you joined D&D in 5e, Displacer Beasts are not really that popular anymore, but they used to be pretty popular. Okay, so what do we have? I see some people talking about the Tarask. Tarask would be a fairly difficult monster to put in a video game, because I think the camera would not be able to even show you much of the Tarask except for a foot when it automatically crushes you and, you know, puts you in the game over. A Giant Crow. Well, Giant Crow is... I guess Giant Crows are SRD, because usually giant animals are fine. Scorpion Folk. I didn't know that those existed in D&D. Reverse Hydra, 5 bodies and 1 head. What the fuck would that look like? That would be a monster, but like in the other, like not in the good sense of the world. Like it would be like, oh, we need to put it out of this misery. The poor boy. 5 bodies, only 1 head. Brain Ravagers. I think if you mean like the ones from the Mind Flayers, the Brain Flayer, the what was the name again? The is it the brain? I forgot the name of those little things. Yeah, the Intellect Devourers, exactly. I think the Intellect Devourers are also not SRD. Yeah. Yeah, instead of a Mind Flayer, we just named them Brain Stir Fryer, and they just like magically cook your brain from far away. Yes. Okay. So I'm seeing a few mentions of Mac. Just as a reminder, if you have a Mac, Solasta 2 will not be supported on Mac. The reason for that is very simple. It's because Mac is not a large portion of the player base, and we did that for Solasta 1. It took us a lot of time because, you know, making compatible games is not that easy, and since we don't really have Mac users on our side, it was not that simple to make it work, to make it like also work in the long term, because every time you make an update, it means that the Mac also needs to be updated. And at the end of the day, it just wasn't you know, worth the time and effort we put in, because we're a small company, so we would rather like, you know, work on other stuff like, you know, PlayStation or Xbox or stuff like that. Yeah, I see the Mimic. I did push for the Mimic. The Mimic is like in the long list of things that we would love to, but probably a bit difficult. A Kraken, yeah, Kraken would be a bit difficult. We would need to have like a, you know, like water combat, like, you know, based on a boat or something. Cyclops is pretty iconic, that's true. Dragons, that's a classic. We all love some dragons. Playable Mimic, Naga, and Mind Flayer. No, that doesn't work. Roper was one, if you remember, of the monsters we did vote upon in Solasta 1 when we were like deciding on which monster to add. And I think the Roper lost to the Troll. Roper is very flavorful. For those who don't know what a Roper is basically like a creature that like disguises itself as a stalagmite or a rock or like a tree or something. And then when you get close, it will lash onto you and then, like, you know, with this tentacle, drag you into its mouth. So it's kind of horrific. It is a like ambush-based monster. So it's very, very cool when you play tabletop and you have something like that. In a video game, it didn't win. Like, maybe we could have made it work. But in a video game, you have to understand that it's a game, so people will usually cheese the hell out of everything. So you have a Roper that is very, very low mobility, and people would just like run around it shooting like fireballs or stuff at it. So it would be kind of sad. Can I ask you about the Ranger? Honestly, New Ranger has some issues with the spells not scaling well, like Lightning Arrow and Conjure Barrage. Can you change them to be more video game friendly? So we haven't looked at the Ranger specifically yet, because as you remember, the early access launches with 6 classes. And those classes are the Fighter, the Rogue, the Wizard, the Cleric, the Paladin, and the Sorcerer. So Ranger has not been like looked upon deeply at yet. We usually try to not make too many changes due to the fact that, you know, the more changes you make, the further away you get from the tabletop. So there are some things we change, sometimes because it just doesn't really work well on the computer. For example, like some of the features would like necessitate like it would ask you for a pop-up every time you do something, and that would be super annoying. So some of the things have been simplified. And also, I do remember in Solasta 1, we did buff a little bit some of the SRD subclasses that felt a little bit anemic. For example, the Berserker. Back then, if you remember in 2014, the Berserker, if they used their what was the name again? Like they have like Berserk, I think, something like that, which made them able during the rage to use their bonus attack to attack to make another attack bonus action. Right, to use a bonus action to make another attack. But if they did that, they would automatically gain a level of exhaustion at the end of the rage, which is debilitating. Like 2014 version, you have one level of exhaustion, you can't fight. Like you have disadvantage on most of your rolls. It's horrible. So what we did back then was we added like a fairly popular homebrew rule, which was whenever you use this feature, you would need to roll a Constitution saving throw at the end to see if you get exhausted. And the more you use the feature before your long rest, the higher the DC became. So 2024 came in, and now Berserker no longer have exhaustion at all. They don't even need to do a roll or anything. They just don't have it at all. So as you can see, it has happened to us in the past to do a little nudge to make it a little bit more playable. But we'll have to see when we get to the Ranger. I know that one of the very, very common house rule for the new Ranger is saying, hey, let's make it so that Hunter's Mark is no longer concentration. You know, that could be something. I don't know yet. I'm not saying that we will do it. I'm just saying that we have in the past considered a few upgrades here and there to make the life of the player a little bit better, but we'll have to see. So, moving on, we see people talking about owlbears. I'm not sure owlbears are actually SRD. I'm pretty sure owlbears are very iconic, so I would be not surprised if they were not available in SRD. There's lizard folks. I think lizard folks are available. Umber Hulks. Oh, I see someone has been going in Underdark. Umber Hulks, very iconic if you have read the the Dark Elf series with Drizzt going. I forget the real name, but there's a whole series of books around Drizzt going back to Menzoberranzan. It's very, very interesting. I see Manticores. I see Undead Sorax. Okay, so haven't you had enough of Sorax? We had Sorax for like a full game plus a DLC. Liches are fair game. Yes, Liches are fair game. Hags are fair game. Hello, P-Coffee. Thank you for the cheers. Cockatrice, Basilisk, Gorgon, and Medusas. Okay, so Basilisk, you might be very happy. We've already shown that we have them in the early access. So Basilisk is actually one of the creatures that you'll be able to see without having to wait for an update. Cockatrice, we thought about it. It was a little bit redundant with the Basilisk because they both just, turn people into stone. Sphinxes would be cool. Oozes. Oh, oozes. And I see who is actually writing that. I think Mr. Who wrote oozes, you may want to see directly with the director of production, because I asked again, and it's not that they don't want to do it, but the ooze is like one of the most technical, problematic creature that we have in our list. So I will sell my soul to have ooze, but at the moment my soul is not worth enough for our production director. How heavily proportioned will undead enemies be in comparison to non-undead enemies? You'll be happy to know that in Solasta 2, there's a lot more variety than in Solasta 1. At least that's the goal. So I know Solasta 1 had a lot of emphasis on Sorax and on undeads. So that was like most of the encounters, you had undeads or Sorax. Solasta 2 doesn't have this problem. Of course, early on, you'll have a lot of humanoid enemies because of, faction, bandits, stuff like this. But overall, you'll see that with the world map that we're putting up. So for those who haven't followed, in Solasta 2, the world map will be free traveling. You click on the tile you want to go, and you just go there. And there will be random encounters, there will be hidden locations, there will be mini bosses that we've added very recently, so you'll have to see how you feel about them. There are fixed encounters. Some of the encounters can be found in specific locations that don't change from play to play, but there are random also encounters that are completely random. If you if you play another game with another party, they might not appear in the same place. Doppelgangers. Doppelgangers are interesting. Storoper. I don't know what that is. If you mean the roper, we already talked about it. Mushroom Swarm. I never saw that. I know swarms were a pain in the butt back in 3rd edition. Those who played Pathfinder Kingmaker may remember at launch that the swarms were a pain in the ass at the launch of the game, because very early on during the campaign you would run into a swarm, and at that level you had very few spells, AoE spells. So if you attack a swarm with a weapon, you deal 1 damage or 0 damage. I forgot, like very low damage. So you would basically take ages to kill them, and what the only option you had would be to equip a torch to deal fire damage and deal with that. But it would be like so slow because the torch isn't a weapon. It's not meant to be a weapon, so it would deal very low damage too. It would deal like 1d3 fire damage or something. So swarms were, yeah, they were something. I think it's in D&D 2024, swarms are no longer managed the same way. Force and sea playable race. So sea playable race, no, because we did say that we will not have swimming for now. So that would make it a bit difficult. Forest race, I think we have the forest elf, you know, the wood elf. Grix, Ropers, and Otyugs. Okay, now we're getting really into like deep lore because these are not very often used. Okay, let me Demigorgon. No, that's a bit too far. All right, let's see. Let's scroll a little bit. Solasta hags were kind of weak. I agree. Solasta hags were kind of weak. We'll see if Solasta 2 hags are a little bit stronger. I see a question in French, which is, will the Warlock be as pleasant to play as in Baldur's Gate 3? For example, Eldritch Blast felt much better in BG3. Yes. So that I cannot really answer for you. I mean, you'll have to see when the Warlock comes out, how you feel about it in Solasta 2. We do know that Solasta 1 felt sometimes a little bit, like the spell felt a little bit slow. And, compared to Baldur's Gate 3, the Eldritch Blast of Baldur's Gate 3 really felt, like, snappy. So that's something that we kind of want as well, type of, like, getting this whole fights a little bit faster, just more in general, so that it's a little bit, like, less long to wait between like the turn, my turn, and monster's turn, stuff like that. So hopefully that should be good. Let's see. Fog Cloud for Solasta were kind of OP. Yeah, Fog Cloud and Darkness, I don't know yet if we're gonna add them. They're not in the early access, because in the early access we do not have lasting spells on the ground. Like, you will not have Grease, you will not have Fog Cloud, you will not have Darkness yet. These we're working on to make sure that they work very well and that they're not like completely broken. So we'll have to see how Fog Cloud and Darkness will work in Solasta 2. Infinite arrows are a thing now because I see. Okay, let me comment. So I see a commenter saying infinite arrows would be wonderful. So this is actually something we talked about. Arrows in Solasta 1, any type of projectiles or thrown weapons, did make a little bit of clutter because you would need to all the time buy more, grab more from the ground, and stuff like that. So for those who like a simulation game, that is a cool part of the game. The problem is that when a video game, usually you can just buy like 200 arrows, it costs almost nothing, and then you put everything in your backpack, and the only thing that prevents you from using them is if you forget to add them back in your quiver. Which is a little bit annoying because like it makes the game slower. It makes you spend more time at the shop, more time in your inventory, more time clicking and dragging stuff, which did not really bring much to the game itself. Same with the thrown weapon, but it was even worse because a lot of the thrown weapons would not stack. So you end up with like 10 throwing axes taking 10 spots in your inventory, and whenever you had to like do shopping and stuff like that, it would take a lot of space. So what we decided to do in Solasta 2 is that thrown weapons and basic arrows or basic projectiles such as bolts, crossbow bolts as well, those are like infinite. You can still buy and use okay, why did my I just saw like the video just put some gray back screen here. Yeah, you can still buy or use magical ammo, and those are consumed upon being shot. but at least you don't have to like go back to every corpse to try to grab back 2-3 arrows from them. It makes it a little bit simpler. Is the NKEG open? You will be happy to know that we are working on NKEGs. They are not in the early access, but we just had like a discussion and a presentation where we saw our NKEGs. Falling Prawn still lose a turn? I don't think so. I don't know though. Let's see. Well, there'll be more than 3 voice options for characters. So at the moment, there's 4 voice options, 2 male voices, 2 female voices. The reason for that is because it's very expensive to make a single voice for a main character. And the reason for that is because we have every dialogue voiced. So every time you want to make an additional voice, you need to do all the like dialogue lines of the game, which is insanely long and insanely costly. So just imagine, for example, like you might be like, yeah, but Baldur's Gate 3, for example, had a lot of voice options, but Baldur's Gate 3 does not have your character speaking. Baldur's Gate 3 have a narrator speaking, and your like character mostly grunts or like speaks small lines in combat. So that way you can add more voices option because it's not you speaking. In Solasta 2, it's not working this way. So it doesn't work the same way. That means that you basically need to have someone record all the lines of the entire game. Whew. So yeah, that's a lot. Okay, let's see. Are there any plan to let us cancel spell selection by right-clicking? This is a quality of life I've noticed while playing Solasta 1. I don't know, but if it's not the case, you can send us feedback. Oh, by the way, talking about feedback. So the way that we are going to take feedback in Solasta 2, if you remember Solasta 1, it was kind of chaotic. You wanted to report a bug or you wanted to like give a feedback, you would go to either Discord or you would go to the Steam web forums. You would go to our own forums, and it was very hard for us. Especially, remember, I said it at the beginning, but we are only 37, I think, of us in the company. So trying to follow all the feedback and all the bugs from all the different places, was a nightmare. The way we're going to do things in Solasta 2 is that we are going to have on our website a ticket system. So you can simply click on create a ticket and you say, is it a bug or is it feedback? And you write it down. You can upload your save file. You can upload screenshots to explain what you meant by what you're having as issues. And this goes straight into our own, backlog of all the things that we have. And this way, it's like one place. Everything is at the same place. And we don't have to go back to ask you, hey, by the way, can you send us your save file by email? Because of course you couldn't upload your save file anywhere. So we couldn't find where the problem was. So here it is going to be much more efficient, much more chance of us finding the bug you have, fixing that bug you have, and also being able to gather the feedback in the same place. So again, if you have any bugs, if you have any feedback, when the early access comes in, it will be a simple head to our website. You don't need to sign up, no need to do anything like that. Click on create a ticket and put the information. We have all the guide in the ticket system where you can find your save, all that kind of thing. So that's all good. Pleasure chatting with you. Okay, so you already said that one. Oblivion Cleric all had his special ability use the main action no matter what. Yes, I think we reworked that a little bit. Let me get back to you on this one. Genie Warlock is not a Surgy. Sorry about that. Genie Warlock would need us to get a full D&D license. Let us see. Removing concentration is one of the things the DMG says you actually shouldn't do, and I agree. I in general, removing concentration is not something you want to do. You don't want to give an item saying, "Hey, you can concentrate on 2 spells at once." That breaks the basic balance of the game. This is due to, notably, spellcasters being very, very strong. You don't want to give them more power. The removing concentration, what I said, was in the specific instance of Ranger and Hunter's Mark. because Rangers are already not that strong. Like, no one's saying Rangers OP, right? I think you would struggle to see anyone say Rangers OP. So Ranger are struggling a little bit, and the problem about Ranger is that a lot of the things in 2024 for the Ranger revolves around them using Hunter's Mark. But because Hunter's Mark is a concentration spells, that means a lot of the concentration spells they just cannot use ever, because of the fact that Hunter's Mark is concentration. So that kind of makes it a little bit difficult for Ranger to, do much. Anyway, that again, I'm not saying that we will do that. It's just like one of the popular homebrew rules for the Ranger. Have you thought about optional crit rules like crunchy crits or double crit options? As always, when it comes to customization of options like this, it's always something that is fun to have and that we consider, but it's also something that we don't really have a lot of time to do. So it's one of those things like they're extra. It's like, do we have time to do that? Is there a lot of people asking for it? Sure, maybe you can think about it. All right. I see. Will we be able to run custom campaigns? That would be the Dungeon Maker. We've always talked about it. Dungeon Maker, no promises. We want to make one. It takes a lot of time. So, hopefully we can. But not a promise. We would love to have one, but it's difficult to make one in Unreal right now. Any Fiends? Fiends are in Solasta 1. Not sure that they will be in Solasta 2, for lore reasons. Will the character have a base camp? We don't really know yet. You'll have to see. Can we plant seeds and grow materials? I mean, if there is a base camp, I guess, maybe? Right now, at Early Access, no. Shardakai Elves, those are not available. Shardakai are something that is very much copyrighted. Love the lore behind the Sorax. Yes, I do too. They it's one of the rare times where evil guys actually won, because Termor is basically under their control. So Dwergars, I do believe Dwergars are not available. Owlbear are SRD. Okay, cool. So we know that Owlbears are out there. Myconids. Okay, Myconids are also pretty fun. Let's see. How different is the storyline of Early Access from the final game storyline? If I want to play the final game blind, no spoilers, should I refrain entirely from the Early Access, aside from the character creator? Yes. The Early Access is part of Act 1, so that means that, just like Baldur's Gate 3, if you play Act 1, you'll have part of the story, right? So, things may change, but mostly the story that you will have is part of the overall 1.0 story. If anyone plays through the Ash DLC campaign in Wrath of the Righteous, the rat swarm in the first area is the hardy part of the DLC. Did they make the same mistake in the DLC of Wrath of the Righteous? Because I do remember that they nerfed the swarm in Kingmaker just because of the fact that it was so annoying. So I'm surprised that they did the same thing again in Wrath of the Righteous. Are you planning to make SRD subclasses alongside the one you wrote? Not for now. The reason being that if we manage to do 3 subclasses per class, we would love to do 1 SRD, 1 Solasta 1, 1 Solasta 2. But the thing is, because we want to have all 12 classes at 1.0, which again, not a promise, it's what we're trying to do. If we want to do that, we have to limit the number of subclasses. Because you have to remember that Solasta 1, when it came out in 1.0, it had 7 classes. So 7 classes times 3 subclasses, plus the cleric having a bit more, we had something around 21 to 25 subclasses. If we manage to do all 12 classes with 2 subclasses, that would also be 24, actually 25, because the cleric will have 3 subclasses. So it's the same amount of subclasses. We can't really manage to make all 12 classes and also promise 3 subclasses per class. That would be way too much. Character creation was confirmed for Early Access. Yes, character creation will actually be the news in 1 week and a half. So on Tuesday 24th, we will have a news detailing the character creation. with screenshots, and I think there's a few videos that are planned as well. So you might want to keep your eye out there to see how far the character creation went. Just to give you an idea, character creation for Solasta 2 is much, much deeper than Solasta 1. You will have sliders, you will have basically a lot of customization options, a lot of colors, everything. So you'll see how far you can push this. Of course, I have I know that already that some of you will make the most horrible looking creatures on Earth, because when you make character creation customizable, it is something that people love to do. But some of you may be able to do very good looking creature people as well, because I know that was a criticism for Solasta 1, where it was hard to make good looking characters. How ugly can I make them? Yes, that's basically the that's basically the Oblivion issue, where everyone would just go and make the most horrible looking thing. Will the story have line-based stuff like in Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous? No. If you remember, not Solasta, but D&D has slowly been moving away from mandatory alignment. So you can do evil stuff, you can do good stuff, but it's less. It's not going to be like Mass Effect, where it's like, oh, this is the Renegade option, this is the Paragon option, this is the blue option, this is the red option. That's not how it's going to be, right? It's not going to say good and then have the line of dialogue. It's more like, hey, what do you want to say, right? Like, here's the line. It doesn't tell you that the line is because you're a nice guy or an evil guy. It's just, here's the line. Do you want to say it? Will there be a party chest to put stuff to stash? Not in the launch of the early access, as far as I know. But I do know that this is something that people have asked in Solasta 1. So I wouldn't be surprised that we will include in one of our updates. Let's see. You gotta get Grease working. Yeah. Grease will be working at some point. Don't worry about it. Let's see. Sickles. The Sickles in my character were surprised. Is the Sickles a common race in Solasta 2? So the Sickles is not a common race in Solasta 2, but there's quite a few of them. Like, they're a native race to Neokos. So people might be surprised the first time they encounter them, but otherwise it's gonna be like just like another race, right? It's like encountering an elf. Will wizards still have a limited grimoire in their inventory? Yes. Do they still have a limited page? I don't think so. So wizard will still have a grimoire in their inventory for, like, flavor reason. We have made it so that they cannot throw it away, because of course the first thing we did, little anecdote, is when we did that, a tester just would throw away the book, and then they would not be able to cast spells anymore. Or they would, but they wouldn't be able to prepare new spells. Of course, that's not what we want. So now the grimoire is locked in your inventory. And no, you cannot give it to someone else, because that was another thing that they did. Once we prevented it from throwing it away, they would just give it to another character, and then they would forget about it. And then they would be like, my wizard cannot use spells anymore. It's like, what fighting style can you use? Yes, I think... No, dueling is part of SRD 2024. I think defense... no, protection is not. So there is not protection. Protection was the fighting style that allowed you to use your reaction to cause an enemy attacking to have disadvantage on their attack against a friend of yours next to you. This has been removed from SRD 2024. I don't know if it's like on purpose, or I don't know if it was just a mistake, but the fact of the matter is we do not have that in Solasta 2 because it's not SRD. Let's see. Will there be items combination like sets? Not that I know of. So sets are very much a thing when you play ARPGs and you have a lot of different items, right? Like, they will have like so many items dropping with a lot of different bonuses and everything. So it makes sense to make it interesting to actually find pieces of sets to make it that if you wear lots of items from the set, you get bonuses. D&D, you already have a limitation that comes from having items being sorry, what's the word again? It is attunement. Yeah. So you have 3 attuned slots maximum per character, right? So not every magic item requires to be attuned. In fact, we have made it a little bit easier for people to get more magic item by making the weaker items, like removing attunement from some of the weaker items, like some of the more situational items, so that they can wear more magic items without being like, oh, I have to choose between actually having a magic sword or actually having a ring that makes light, which is cool, but like not necessary. Meaning that this ring that makes light is very often just like sold because it's cool, but it's not worth a slot. So some of the smaller magic items, we managed to say, hey, we're gonna remove concentration for those. Sorry, not concentration. Attunement for those, so that you can still use them without feeling bad about it. But you still have a limit of 3 powerful magic items, meaning that sets don't really make sense with that. Is crafting going to be the same as Solasta 1? No, crafting is going to change a little bit. It's not in the early access launch, but there will be, an update, hopefully in the future with crafting in it. And it will be, I think, a little bit simpler, so that there will be less clutter about like too many like crafting items, but we'll see about that. Very much looking for trying a hand axe at dagger thrower. Yes, I think we even designed. I like the feats are designed by me for the homebrew, and I think I did design a feat that did help specifically for thrown weapon specialists. So you might want to try that. Give feedback about if it's shit or not, and if it's shit, then it will be my fault. You can blame me for that. Any plans to implement slings? No. Slings are not a thing because it needs a specific animation. So anything that requires a specification is usually costly. And it's also one of the weaker options. I know that, not everything is about just dealing damage, right? Like, some people like the flavor of using a sling, even if it does 1d4 and not 1d8 for like a, longbow. But the problem about that is the vast majority of people will not use a sling just because it's not very powerful. And that means making a lot of effort to make an item that not a lot of people will use. It's the same basically if you were asking, why don't you have a club? Right? The club deals 1d4, and to be fair, it's not that much worse than a dagger, right? A dagger is also 1d4, but a club is something that not a lot of people will use, and Solasta 1 had them, no one was using them. So it's like, why do we bother making a club if no one's going to use it? So we would rather focus on making more magic items, stuff like that. Who do I have to bribe for a pirate voice option? Nope, sorry. I already said it's very expensive. Sometimes he says he has a lot of his mind on his mind and in it. Yes, that's the BG3 line that you keep on hearing when you're clicking a lot. You're clicking always a lot on BG3. Let's see. I assume there isn't any class-specific dialogue due to cost. I do not know. I think we might have. We are trying to add like a few dialogues that depend on specific stuff, like maybe class or I don't think background this time though. Let's see. Right click to cancel got me killed in XCOM 2 more than anything else when it moved me instead. Yes. Moving from one tactical game to another and having a different control scheme is always infuriating. It's like, oh, yeah, let me just... no, crap. I forgot that there's no confirmation in this game. Whoop. Let's see. I'm scrolling a little bit because right now I'm looking at messages from 10 minutes ago because there are so many messages. There's so many of you. Do you plan to have guns in the game? No, sorry about that. Like I said in a earlier stream, guns are not part of Solasta 2 because lore-wise we have not gone that far. We don't have gnomes that are, advanced enough in their technology to produce, gunpowder. And maybe a DLC will come out and prove me wrong, but for now, no. Crafting is going to be in Solasta 2. Yeah, I already answered that one. Let's see. We're talking... Okay, that's people just talking about Ranger. Let's see. What about mod support? So mod support, we already talked in the past. Modding is something that we want people to be able to do, right? We're not against modding. We are not going to do anything that prevents modding, but we cannot work on modding tools. Like providing modding tools is very time consuming. That's why, every big game, such as every big game that did it, for example, Baldur's Gate 3, or even Cyberpunk recently, releasing modding tools, official ones, those are released like 2 years after launch, 2 years after 1.0, because it takes a lot of time. So what we'll have to hope for is people like those who have been working tirelessly on making in Solasta 1, if you know about it, like there is a very, very big mod called Unfinished Business that adds level 20 multi-classing, a whole lot of different like classes, subclasses. So there are people who've made this Unfinished Business mod. Notably, one is Zappa stuff, right? So I know that he have started looking into Unreal to see how to mod it. I don't know how far he can get. So if you are interested in modding, maybe like reach out to him and maybe you can help. So let's see. Is there respecking class attribute points available? Not at the launch of Early Access, but this is definitely something that we're looking at. It is something we want to add. So it's not just we are thinking about it. It's more like it is an objective, because with the advent of multiclassing, we know that people will probably brick their build for those who don't really know how to play the game and might be like, oh, I'm a barbarian, but sorcerers sound fun. So then they end up being a barbarian sorcerer that have no synergy and that suck at that they suck in close range, they suck in magic. That will be rough, right? So we don't want people to feel like they break their run and be like, oh, I don't have a save from earlier, then I guess I have to replay the game. So hopefully we can get the respecking during the early access. All right, let's see. Scrolling down. When will the full game come out? Hopefully it's going to be a year. So our goal is to have the full game come out a year after the early access release. And, because we don't have a crystal ball, it might be longer. Hopefully, yeah. So the thing is more like, if the game does very well, for example, during early access, and we decide to add more into N 1.0, we might make it longer, the early access. But normally we plan around a year. So it might be a year and a half, but it's not going to be, I'm saying that now, but maybe we're going to sell like billions of the game and we want to make the game like super big compared to what we first intended. And then it's going to be like 4 years or something. But normally that's not the case. Normally it's 1 year. What's the best way to reach out to you about content creation for tactical adventures? You can DM me on Discord if it's very my name is Mizrim on Discord as well. If it's a very specific question, you can DM me. If it's a more broad question that you feel like more people could benefit from getting the answer, we have a Ask a Dev thread. Not thread, but channel, so that you can in the form of a forum, so you can just ask your question there. Any classes that 100% won't be in the game? No. Hopefully 1.0 will have all 12 classes. Hopefully. How many subclasses will each class have at launch? 2. Except for the cleric that have 3, every class will have 2. Will you be able to produce another source book? So this is something that we really want to have. Solasta 1 had a source book, and then it had the revised version when we had more time. It's actually, if you're one of those people who want to get a Solasta 1 source book, they are on sale on the Modifius website. You can order them, they will ship to you. You either have a physical version or you have a digital version if you don't want to pay like a physical version. I don't believe the book is up to 2024 rule set, so some of this thing may not be compatible anymore, but the lore is pretty much still the same, right? So that is something that is available. For Solasta 2, we want to do that, but it is also very, very long to make a source book. And remember, we are a video game company. We are at heart, we're not a tabletop company. Even though we love tabletop, even though the game is a love letter to tabletop, we're not a tabletop company. We're not writing source book on the daily. So when we do want to write a source book, it takes a lot of effort from the team, taking away from the game. We also need to find very good partners who will help us write the book, like put the book into the right layout, and then publish the book as well. So thankfully, we have a lot of connection now in the book, like tabletop RPG industry, because there's just so many people we work with that have links to tabletop. Special shout out notably to the Rookery, who have, ND Law, who is leading the Rookery, has helped us work on the first book, and Modifius has helped us publish it. So those are people that we can always count on. But yeah. Let's see. Is there companion romance? No romance for now. No romance for now, because it's very difficult to make romance work when you're playing a full party of 4. Are there elemental race unique to Solasta possible in the future? In the future, we never know, right? But for now, if we wanted to add more races, I think we would go with the official ones. Like we would want to add the Goliath. We want to add the Tiefling, the Dragonborn. Everyone wants the Dragonborn. By the way, Dragonborn, very complex. So it's one of the races that I know a lot of people want, but it's the most likely to be on the cut list if we don't have the time. Dragonborn really much don't look like humans, so they need a lot of work, specific work just for them. I don't say we're gonna cut them, because hopefully we can make it in, and if we do make it in, you'll be very happy, and we'll be very happy, and we'll probably be announcing it left, right, and center, because we'll be managing to put it in. There we go. Okay, other questions. A big question. Can you briefly redefine the personality system for the protagonist? If I remember, there was a family role, and there's also personality flag. Yes. So there's 2 different things. Personality flags is more just a dialogue type, like how people speak. And they will usually have different tones or intonation. Whereas family roles is more like the dynamic in between the characters of the party. Because remember, like, you're playing a party of adopted orphans who have grown up since. And they basically meet back up during the... I was gonna say death ceremony. I forgot the name in English, the actual name. The French name is enterrement. It's basically like their adoptive mother just died and they're meeting back up, and that's when the adventure starts. Funerals, yeah, sorry, funerals. Funerals. My English is failing me. Will background quest make a return? Nope, not this time. I hope the render is included in the full release. I do hope so too. Let's see. Scrolling. Okay, I see people answering about the protection style now. Can you bring over the Empress chain shirt, magic web armor that counted as clothing? It was so overpowered, man. It was so overpowered. But I don't know yet. Maybe it comes back. Solasta 1 had my Barbarian making Intelligence Arcana check. I think in Solasta 2 that should be solved. I think it should always select the guy with the highest score, but I might be wrong about that. Because I know that this was a pain point. For example, Solasta 1 had another issue during dialogues, where one of the issue was because everyone needed to talk, like all 4 characters needed an option, you might only have one guy that had good, let's say, charisma, right? And they would get the persuasion option. But then you also had another option, which was intimidation. And you kind of wanted to use intimidation, but for some reason, because the guy with the high charisma had the persuasion dialogue, if you use intimidation, it would take your wizard with like 8 in charisma and roll with -1. And you'd be like, that's stupid. I want to roll with the guy who actually has a lot of intimidation. So that was a problem. I think in Solasta 2, if I remember correctly, when it comes to skill checks, there will be the possibility of one character having multiple options, just because we kind of want to prevent the player from feeling too frustrated having one character that's good with dialogues not being able to make the skill save. Sorry, the skill checks. Let us see. Skill checks be used for character and control. Okay, so that's the thing that I just answered. Is multiplayer going to be live at launch? No, it's going to be during early access. Hopefully one of the earlier updates. Hopefully. Let's see. Solasta had 3D battles. Will there be advantages and disadvantages when using high-low ground? So this is not part of the D&D rules. So at the moment, there's no such thing. But I also do know that after playing BG3, I think they had like a +2 advantage if you're on the high ground. One of the things that we were thinking is that it's true that aside from not being easy to reach and having a high vantage point, being higher than enemies didn't really have any benefits in Solasta and in D&D in general. So we might have to think about giving a little something for characters that are above others when they attack. I'll have to see. Will non-quest NPCs talk to each other or have background chatters? Yes, there will be background chatter. You'll see that as soon as you reach the first city of the game. Can you show us or tell us about some origin feats from the game? I mean, I guess I could, but I feel like those should be a little bit more of a surprise. So you will be able to like read about them. Is a kobold riding a bear into battle going to happen? No, sorry about that. That is not going to happen. Let's see. Okay, slings again. Fingers crossed Zappa can make modding work. Yes, fingers crossed. Let's see. Bricking your character isn't a bug, it's a feature. Yes, I guess so. But we're not in 1980 anymore. This is not Baldur's Gate 1 where you're like, I regret my choices. I made terrible choices and now I'm gonna have to leave with them. Not pulling a Valheim with 5 years of early access? Yeah, I mean, like, you can even talk... Yeah, you can talk about Valheim. You can talk about, like, Project Zomboid, which is, like, 13 years in early access now. It's still a very good game. Like, people love it, and it's a great game. But I feel like they're never gonna come out at this point, right? Let's see. Is Solasta your tabletop home game world? Are you the DM? No, I haven't played... I haven't, like, DM'd a Solasta campaign. But right now, our game director is DMing a campaign where I'm a player. I'm actually playing as a monk in the 2024 rule set. And it is happening in the Solasta world. We are in the Republic of Galavan. So, as you know, Galavan, after the Palace of Ice DLC, they were basically the bad guy because their royalty was infiltrated by Sorax. And this happens after the campaign, so the Sorax have been kind of purged. They have been like a very heavy purge in the Republic, Kingdom of Galavan, sorry. So the Kingdom of Galavan have basically gone through heavy purges. They also, since they lost the war and they were the aggressor, have been having to make a lot of reparations. So the kingdom's stability is kind of low because a lot of people are very unhappy about losing the war and having to, basically the country is getting impoverished. Also, a lot of like high-ranked officials have been like killed by Sorax and replaced. So like purging the Sorax also meant that there's a lot of like holes in that government now. So it's very unstable at the moment in the campaign setting we're playing. And this is basically, we have two groups going together. So like 1 week, Xavier, our game director, will DM for one group. The other weeks they will DM for us. And we're basically like trying to figure out conspiracies and like things happening in the kingdom. So it's very interesting. It's very interesting. We'll see. Maybe like in 2 months, I'm gonna say it's shit because I just died. so I'm gonna be very bitter. But yeah, if I die, this is just how the cookie crumbles, right? So I will not give any more, let's say, any more spoilers in case he decides to publish a campaign about this. Okay, let's see. Scrolling down, how many races in early access? Only 4. Early access will have basically the classic 4: the human, the elf, the dwarf, and the halfling. Hopefully, we have more afterwards. Is there a day and night cycle? Yes, there are days and night cycles, but it's not like Solasta 1. Solasta 1 had like real time, the real time day and night cycle. Here for Solasta 2, it will be day, dawn, dawn, day, dusk, and night, I think. I don't really know how much we have implemented the day and night cycles as of yet, but ideally we'll want to have more powerful monster come out during the night, so that if you do like forced march on the world map, you are exposing yourself to more difficult encounters. Blah, 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 blah. When I first heard about the not blood related family, my first thought was how the internet will be full of, oh, stepbrother, I'm stuck. Alright, yep. You guys do what you want to do. I mean, yeah. And what large monsters can we expect to see? Quite a lot. I'm not going to be able to give them to you because I'm thinking about it, because I've been working on the bestiary this afternoon. There's actually a lot of large monsters. Like most of the monsters that you encounter are probably large. Extra large monsters. Huge monsters? Yes, we already have a huge monster. Might be more. Actually, I think there's a huge monsters in the early access release. You'll have to find it. It's basically an optional location that is... the only thing I'm gonna reveal is that it's close to water. So go ahead, have fun finding it. Any updated Discord role for Solasta 2 players? I don't think so, because the way that Discord works is we can have a bot give you a role when you join the server, but through like a specific link. But once you are in the server, I don't think you can, like, unless we just make it so that anyone who clicks can get the role. In that case, there's absolutely like no verification, right? So that there's no way to like easily give you access to like a role specifically. Okay, we're almost catching up to the last messages. Let's see, any custom background? Not yet, but if custom backgrounds are something you really want, please let us know in the feedback section, because right now it's one of the things that we kind of like are on the fence, because it takes a lot of time to make. But we also know that some people might be like, I want like a specific background where I get strength, dex, and intelligence, and I want this particular origin feat, and there's no existing background that allows me to do that. So yeah. Have you planified more DLCs in the future? No. So, well, I mean, is there going to be DLCs? Potentially, yes. Like, you know, Solasta 1 had a lot of DLCs, it worked well, people were like them, so there's no reason why we wouldn't do DLCs. But we're not planning any DLC for now, because right now we're planning for early access and 1.0. So trying to plan for DLCs might be way, way, way too far in the future for now. Like, let's not put, as we French like to say, the cart before the horses, or before the oxens. I don't know if there's an English saying that is the same meaning, right? Putting the cart before the oxens, I guess. Speaking of DLCs, there will be a DLC at the launch, and that is just the supporter pack. This is just like in Solasta 1, the supporter pack. It is just cosmetic items for fun. You don't need to buy it. In fact, if you don't have the money, do not buy it. Please do not buy it. It is just a tip jar. Do not tip us if you don't have enough money for yourself. Play the game, buy the game. It is way enough for us. We're very happy if you play the game. And then that is more for the people who are like, can we send you money? Can we, like, you know, do something for you? It's like, okay, in that case, you can buy like the tip jar. So yeah, it's just like I think 4 or 5 like fun items that make light or stuff like that. But it doesn't do anything. So you do say don't put the cart before the horses? Is that like, oh, you don't count your chickens before they hatch. Yeah, this one I know about that. The chicken before they hatch. True. Wait, is there actually a saying don't put the cart before the horses? I don't remember that in English. I'll need someone to fact check that. Let us see. Scrolling down. Wasn't Yapatron 3000 developer going to join the stream? That is me. That is me. I'm actually yapping, as you see, as you can see. We're just talking about the game, talking about and answering questions. Okay, that's a common phrase in America. Okay, I didn't know that. Huh, interesting. I always heard about the chicken, but I never heard about the horse. When is Early Access releasing? The 12th of March, if I remember correctly, right? Yeah, it's the Thursday, 12th of March, and I think it's going to be around 5 or 6, maybe like in our time. So pretty much around the time when I start the streams is going to be the time when the game will go live, likely. Because usually we do that to make sure that we're still available if there's any issue when we launch the game and stuff like that. In Solasta 1 with Sorax, the light was pretty valuable. Is light going to be mechanically important in 2 as well? A little bit less so. So that I'm not gonna lie. There's a lot of things that change from the first game to the second game, and light is still going to be something that is important, but not to the point of Solasta 1 because we don't have Sorax anymore. So yes, there will be monsters that can be light sensitive and stuff like that, but it will be less present than in Solasta 1. Will there be cooking in Solasta 2? Not that I know of. Character stat, will it be the same rule as Solasta 1? Can you reroll as many times as you want? I do believe so. Well, at least I hope so. I would have to open the character creator to do that, but I cannot show that to you yet. We have to wait for like the 24th of February. So in 1 week and a half. Let's see. Are you planning half elf? Actually, half elf has yes, half elf is no longer a base race for D&D 2024, but we have made a survey and a lot of people want half elf. So there's a high chance that we'll consider adding half elves as their own specific race in Solasta 2. There's a chance, like not certain. The entire campaign 1.0 we kind of want around 40 hours. For the early access, the Act 1 portion of the game is mostly 10 to 15 hours, depending on how familiar you are with D&D, like, how long you take to make your character, how much you're gonna go in the world map and try to find like random encounters or hidden mini bosses. So, yeah. Considering the Oblivion Cleric, Remnos, was that the question about the Oblivion Cleric having all their power on their main action? I do believe part of it went to bonus. I have to check again. Will there be a magic mirror to change a character appearance? I think it's one of the things we discuss in the same vein as Respec, but I don't know if that one is as important as the Respect one. Let us see. Can people rocking the stealth wealth mechanic buy the supporter pack multiple times? No. If you really want to be like a generous god, you can, I don't know, like buy more copies and give it away to people who don't have the money to buy them. I don't know, like, again, it's a video game. Like, you can support us, but the goal is not to have, like, we're not a free-to-play. We're not gonna like make people wail on like on the supporter pack and just like say, hey, yeah, give us $200 or something like that. No. Is there a transmog system? So funnily enough, we also discussed about that with the respec and with the magic mirror. It's something that a lot of people inside the company want because we are also a lot of like video game players, and a lot of us are used to our good old transmog and MMOs. We want to look fabulous when we play the game. So it is a possibility that transmog may come one day. Again, may. Let us see. Yapatron 3000 was a gamer tag? No. Yapatron 3000 just means that I'm yapping. Solasta 2's team is still creative. I hope they create unique spells. That's very nice, thank you. So we did create some spells, homebrew spells in the past in Solasta 1, and we are probably going to do again that in Solasta 2. The reason for that is mostly because the SRD options for a lot of the spells sometimes are a bit lacking when it comes to combat. So the SRD has a lot of spells, but a lot of those spells sometimes are roleplay related. And as you know, Solasta does not have that much time or people to write a lot of dialogues and a lot of options, meaning that a lot of those spells don't work in Solasta 2. They might work in Baldur's Gate, but they don't work in Solasta 2. So because of that, Solasta 2 has to focus a lot more on spells that are useful in combat. And sometimes there's not that many of them. For example, I think it was the Cleric level 4 spells that had a little bit of an empty slot. So we created more spells for level 4 clerics. Another example is the cleric cantrips. So we have 2 original cleric cantrip that are homebrew. There is one that allows you to attack at close range, and it does AoE damage around the target. It's very low damage since the cantrip is 1d4 about the AoE. So you deal I think it's 1d6 in melee, and then it spreads 1d4 additional to the people around if they miss a saving throw. And there's another one that allows you to give a character temporary HP in range. And I think it only lasts 1 turn because it's a cantrip. Are you planning to any marketing blitz via TTRPG conventions in the US? So you might remember that in 2019, which is now 6 years ago, it's just 7 years ago. Holy! So yeah, 6 years and a half ago, we first marketed Solasta 1 in at Gen Con. It was pretty fun. It was pretty interesting. A lot of people were super hyped to see a fully D&D game. And we also caught cold because Gen Con had us placed right under the cooling, the air conditioning, and it was blasting, just full blast on our faces during the entire day. So we all got sick in the end. But, it was still fun, right? I think at the moment we don't have plans to do that because the team is just so small that if I was to go, for example, so last time, for example, who went? It was me. It was Pierre, who is our marketing director, and it was Mathieu, who is our CEO. But you have to remember that Mathieu is also the creative director, and he's also a programmer. He's the one making a lot of the class features. He's the one making a lot of work on the inventory, on the UI. So let's say that we disappear for 5 days from a week, a full working week, right? 5 days, we're not here, we're in the US. That's 5 days that we are not working on the game. That means that's 5 days I'm not preparing news for you guys. I'm not creating new monsters and bestiary. I'm not designing features. I'm not designing feats. Sorry, I'm saying features. Sometimes I'm the one making feats or subclasses. Sometimes I'm also the one helping to report the bugs. All those things, they're not being done while we're away. Mathieu might be, not able to add a new feature for a new subclass of the Ranger, for example, because he's not here. And Pierre, on his side, might not be able to schedule, work on the next trailer, or, there's a lot of things that's going on, right? So whenever you are at a convention, which is always a fun thing, right? It's not a bad thing to be at a convention, but it's a great thing when your team is getting bigger, but when you're small, it's always hard to justify losing a key member of the team for 3-4 days. And I say key member, but everyone in the company, no matter what, is a key member because we're so small that many people do many things. A lot of people don't just do what their role is about, but they help on so much more than that, right? For example, recently our 3D environment artist, who's the one making the walls, the rocks, all the things that make the world look so good. He's been starting to help on the lighting as well, because we needed help on lighting. So he's been learning about lighting and making sure that the cutscenes look kind of well as well. No, I think he's not working on the cutscene, but levels, for example, because when you go into a prison, for example, the lighting has to change, etc., etc. Monster Hunter Stories and Solasta 2 on the same day is going to be a very busy day. Yeah, just to let you know, I think there's 6 or 7 games that we were looking at that come out the same day. I think there's like there is Greedfall 2, there's Monster Hunter Story. there's quite a lot of them. Sorry for stupid question. Where's the feedback section? So for the moment, feedback section is not live, but when our early access come out, the website will be updated, and in the created ticket section, in the support section, you'll be able to choose between bug or feedback. And then if you want to write a feedback, you can write it there. And you can also add like screenshot or drawings, for example, if you feel like you have a way to like visually explain your ideas, stuff like that. Well, faction relation will be more in depth in Solasta 1. Yes, a little bit. In the way that Solasta 1, if you remember, we released a DLC that was quite buggy called Lost Valley. And that had a very, very large faction system. So it was the first time we did that to this point, and it had quite a few issues. Hopefully, the goal is that Solasta 2 has this more like integrated to the game, where the factions will, just like Solasta 1, give you discount, access to specific shops and stuff like that, but we'll also do like in Lost Valley, where there will be faction quests, and like depending on who you're friend with and who you're enemy with, the story may change a bit. Will the musical theme be different, or will we have the same one as Solasta 1 but readapted? Nope, it will be different. So we have Maxime, our music composer from Solasta 1. He's coming back. There are maybe some few themes that you will be... No, I don't even think so, right? No, I think like every single track that I heard from him for Solasta 2 is completely new, is completely brand new. Because we kind of switch a lot in the direction where Neokos is a very, very exotic country compared to... continent compared to the good old Ferendra. So the goal is to have a different direction and different vibe. Did you ever get in trouble for saying things that you shouldn't have on stream? I guess, maybe. I mean, in trouble, I don't think so. Like, not at Tactical Adventures. At Tactical Adventures, I never said something that got me in trouble. Maybe it's just like, oh, wait, did you say that? Oh crap, yeah, we shouldn't have said that. Oh, well, okay. So next time, let's see how we communicate about this. It would like more likely it's like, oh, slip of the tongue, we reveal something a bit too early. But that happens all the time, right? Like Mathieu will come on stream and start talking about something, and it's no big deal. Again, it's no big deal. Like we're not like a AAA company where revealing something means that the entire campaign is going off the rail. It's just like, oh, okay, let's be careful about this next time. Will there be localized voices? No, it's because, like I said, voice acting is super expensive. It's a big part of the budget, and that means we cannot, we don't have the means to actually pay for localized voices. 4 hours in the character creation? Yeah, that's possible. 1 hour per character, right? Will there be smaller differences between hard and normal? So for now, when we release the game, the 2 difficulties will be authentic, which is basically D&D roles. So that's for those who are confident that they are Solasta 1 players, they know D&D roles, they should be able to do that. And then there is the Explorer mode, which was the default mode in Solasta 1, which is a little bit simpler, with a bit of like, less damage taken, a little bit of a bonus on the dice rolls and stuff like that. So there's no shame of using Explorer mode if you are a new player or if you don't really know D&D 2024 so well, because some combats can get very hard. There is at the moment no harder options, but there is a customizable like sliders for the difficulty stuff like in Solasta 1. So there's not a hard preset, but you can yourself adjust if you feel like the game is too easy. Probably hard mode and stuff like that will come out, like the official one will come out later out with the options. How much will the early access cost approximately? See, that's one of the things where I might have said something and be like, oh crap, I shouldn't have said that because we haven't revealed it yet. So it is not my place to say it. What I can say is there will be a region pricing, so that if you are someone in Brazil, for example, or in China, it will not be the same price as if you're in the US, because, of course, the amount of money you have is usually a little bit different from someone living in France or the US. Will there be a soundtrack package available to buy? Not for now. I don't know if we will have one. We might. Considering sub rises, I would love to see Shardakai, but again, Shardakai, sorry, I said it. It's not. I think it's not SRD. We cannot do that. Annoying Bee, yes, Annoying Bee is still here. Annoying Bee is still very much here. It deals 1d4 piercing damage, no saving throw, so you're guaranteeing a little bit of damage with Annoying Bee in exchange for not doing a lot of damage. But it's always good to guarantee damage. That does mean you can technically, I guess, kill the Tarrasque with the Annoying Bee, unless he's... Is the Tarrasque immune to piercing damage? It might be. Okay. Do we know the name of the protagonist voice actors? I do not know them myself, but we do have the names somewhere, I think in the credits. Let's see. Will content creators get early access to early access? Yes, so for content creators, we have a Lurkit program. So if you don't know, Lurkit is a kind of like a platform for content creators. You can try to sign up to the partner program. It has some requirements set, which I don't really remember by heart. And if you are in the program, we will likely be sending you keys before the early access starts. And there will be like an embargo 24 hours before, something like that. So you'll be able to play the game 24 hours before. If you break the embargo, I'm coming to your house and I'm breaking your knees with a baseball bat. So please don't do that. Don't reveal the game before you have to, right? Okay. Let's see. Have you considering contacting D&D actual play people like Critical Role when the game comes out? Oh, for an ad? Yeah, we have considered it. It's just Critical Role is very expensive, and rightfully so, right? They're very, very, very popular. So we'll have to see. We might. Will attribute tome and fixed attribute items make a return? Not for now, but I do believe that they are planned. Let's see. Stay in Fresh, get some work done. Yes, exactly. We're staying in our caves and just working. I think many people would be okay with a week of delay as long as you provide pics from the convention. Yeah, I think a lot of people would be okay, but a week of delay is a lot of money as well, right? Like, when you are delaying the game by a week, by a month, you have to pay salaries, you have to pay rent, you have to pay electricity, you have to pay for the licenses. So I mean, if we had infinity money, of course we would love to do that, but we do have like a ticking time bomb at some point. Like, it's like we need to release at some point, right? That's just how it goes. I would suggest more detailed subcategories in this ticket system. Yeah. I mean, like there are like the tickets are going to be very, very detailed. If you select that you have a bug, then inside the bug ticket you have a lot of different fields, like where is it happening, what type of bug is it, and all that kind of thing. When it's just that the like, let's say the level 0 of the okay, my cat is kind of being annoying. Hopefully you can see or hear me. But the level 0 is it a feedback or is it like a bug? Is it something like you want us to improve, or is it something you need us to fix? So yeah. Will there be leitmotifs? Of course there will be leitmotifs for the music. For those who don't know, leitmotifs is, I don't know if I say that right in English. Leitmotif is basically kind of like a background theme that you can like hear in different tracks, where you're like, oh, this is the leitmotif for, I don't know, let's say it's Rickard's leitmotif. So whenever Rickard's on screen, you will have like a theme with the Rickard's theme, and then maybe when you have like the main game theme, you will have at some point Rickard's leitmotif being included in it because it's part of like the family. So you might have like Rickard's leitmotif, you might have the Arcast leitmotif, stuff like that. Very, very interesting. Like, music theory is so deep. If you ever get into music and music theory, there is a ton to learn out there. It's fascinating. Like, one of those that really stuck with me was the first Octopath Traveler. So if you like listening about music theory, I think it's like 8-bit musician. I don't remember, but like there's someone on YouTube called 8-bit something that made a very good analysis of the soundtrack for Octopath Traveler. Fantastic, really great. Painting on armor and clothes. Yes, this is something we want to do. Will the villager be more animated than in the demo? Yes. So there will not be the villagers in the demo. There will be like a city, and there will be more animated. I guess they're not walking a lot, but there's like talking a lot. There's a lot of them as well. As long as the tactical gameplay is good, I will enjoy the crap out of the game. Hopefully we can... Yes. Can I become a shareholder of Tactical Adventure through a pre-IPO in the company? We are part of Kepler now, as you know. So I don't know if or when Kepler might go public. But yeah, if ever we go public, you know it's Kepler. Kepler so far have been doing a lot of hits. Right? We had Pacific Drive that did very well. We had Expedition 33 that did very well. We had Rematch that's doing pretty well as well, right? I think it's doing... I haven't followed like Rematch. I know that's one of the first live service game that Kepler has. They announced Orbitals that look awesome. There's also Windblown that's in early access. That's looking pretty good as well. So yeah, so far a lot of hits. Oh yeah, and how could I forget? There's also PVKK. PVKK that's looking super interesting for nerds that love to do like menial tasks like paper please. And oh, there's also Ontos for the guys who love the Soma. So yeah, see, like Kepler has like a fantastic lineup. Solasta 2, part of them, of course, because we're a fantastic game, right? That's why you're here, because you know that we're a fantastic game, and you know that you're gonna buy the game, right? Okay. Let's see. Brazil mentioned. Yes. By the way, Brazil, did you know that you guys are the 3rd biggest wish listers of Solasta 2? I think we have the US, and I hit, or even is it the 3rd or the 2nd? Like basically, US is the 1st. I know UK is very high, but we had like Brazil sky high as well. Like we were like, whoa, holy crap! Like Brazil people, Brazilians really know a lot about Solasta, and we were very surprised. So like pleasantly surprised. I guess Brazilian likes Solasta. Deluxe edition. Yeah, there will be a deluxe edition, but the deluxe edition will simply be game plus supporter pack. It's that simple. Like we don't for the moment have an art book. We don't have like a soundtrack. There's not much more than just the cosmetic items for those who want to give us a tip. Unsure if already asked. In character creation, will there be dice re-rolling stat for the same as in Solasta 1? Normally, yes. Okay, my cat is being very annoying. He's trying to like bite the microphone right now, and I do not know why. You're being annoying, little cat. I joined. Let's go, kitty cam, meow. Yeah, tell the cat we love them. I guess he knows because he's already like, yeah. Ah. Leitmotif. Oh, true. That's, yeah, okay. I want the game right now. Is your cat in game as an NPC? No, sorry. We don't have cats in the game right now. I know that we wish we could have one, but we do have sand lions, which are technically big cats. Will there be brush on painting for character creation for war paint and scars? No, there's no custom scars or paintings at the moment. The way it works, sorry, like I'm looking up because I'm like trying to remember, is you can select the different types, and then you can move it around the skin. You can like resize them, I think. You can change the colors. I think it's something like that. When you travel in mountain on the world map, what checks can occur? I think at the moment mountains are locked, as in like you cannot just move through them. Same goes when there's a river. You must go through a bridge, so you cannot go from like a tile to another if it's separated by a river. But there are different biomes, and encounters will change depending on the biome. So if you're in the forest, you will probably not have the same encounters as if you are near the coast. There are some encounters, random encounters, that are basically anywhere, so you can like have them anywhere. But some of them are like only on the coast or only in the forest, stuff like that. Let's see. We love RPG. I mean, great. Happy. No, Portuguese voice acting is not a possibility. I said so already. Like we just can't do like, voice acting in anything else than English. Like if we had the money, we would probably do more voice options first. But yeah. What is one thing from 2024 that Technical Adventures unanimously decided to change for Solasta 2? Hmm. So a rule of 2024 that we did not keep. I don't necessarily have anything in mind right now. Yeah, aside from like half elf. In carrying capacity right now, we have implemented the rule as written as well. Okay, all right. I think I'm getting to the end of the questions. Woo! All right, overland spell would be cool, like teleporting across that river. This was an original like want for the game. Like we wanted to have spell that would affect the traveling, just like magic, like heroes of magic. Heroes of might and magic. But at the end of the day, it's been a bit complex to do that. So at the moment, there's not anything like this. Multiplayer is hopefully one of the first updates during early access, but not at launch. Okay, well, I'll give you guys 5 more minutes to ask any question. If there's none, I think we'll just call it for today. It's going to be a bit of a shorter stream, 1 hour and a half, but it should be fine. Because you guys, I know you all want to see the game, you all want to play the game, and right now this is something that I cannot give you. Will the bards sing when casting spells? I mean, I would love to, so I'll have to ask if we can do that. I know that our like production director loves bard because she plays bards. Like her tabletop character was a bard, so I might be able to negotiate with her the fact that we kind of want to have a character singing their spells. But again, it's not something that we can guarantee. Will the bard have a College of Sword option? No, because again, College of Sword is not SRD. But will the bard have a melee subclass? This is something that might be happening. That's something that we might do homebrew. How is the progress on Fly? Yeah, Fly is actually getting a lot of progress on our side. I've seen stuff. It's been put on the back burner for now because like we're polishing the early access. So the way it works, by the way, for those who don't know and who are curious, is that when we get closer to a release, we stop adding new stuff and we put everyone on like a basically locked build where we don't add new stuff and we just fix the build, fix the bugs. We polish the little things that are breaking and we make sure that when it comes out, it's as good as it can be. So Fly at the moment is still on its experimental phase, but I've seen characters flying very uglily right now because we don't have everything for it, but they do fly. Is the address of the building with all the tubes on the outside? No. We're the building with the tubes on the outside. This is the Centre Pompidou, which is like I think it's a national monument or something like that. Basically, it's like a museum. We are next to it. We're not inside the National Museum. What is one thing you're tired of answering? It's fine. I mean, like, again, we know that not everyone is at every stream, so. A question, if you can answer. Was it difficult to arrange contracts with famous voice actors like Amelia Tyler? I can't answer that because I just don't know. I'm not the one contacting the voice actors. As far as I know, I think Amelia Tyler was not that hard to contact. Because it's more like it's a professional process, right? So like we contact the professional voice actors, we have to see if they're interested and all that kind of thing. But as far as I know, I wasn't told that it was difficult. Like not particularly difficult. What are the 3 things that make your game truly unique? for me, I think it's one of the rare games where nowadays you can make a full party, like not just your hero, but just a full party. I remember doing that in like Icewind Dale 2 when I played when I was younger, and or Temple of Elemental Evil, I remember as well. And just the way that you are thinking about how you can break the game and stuff like this, you know, and it's one of the fun part of it as well, like the theory crafting behind it all. I think that's one of the thing. I think being very close to 5e is also one of the thing that makes it interesting. It might be kind of like a obvious answer, right? But when you play a lot on tabletop, you have some expectations, and you're like, oh, I wish, you know, the game worked this way, right? So I loved BG3, for example, but sometimes I was like, oh, I wish they worked like the same way it does on tabletop or stuff like that, right? So yeah, and one of the perfect example is Ready Action. Ready Action is very, very useful. So yeah. How thorough are your coworkers watching these streams? How thoroughly are your They're not. They're not because, again, we are streaming after hours. Like, I'm streaming after hours. So that's time that they have for, like, it's their free time. They can watch if they want to, but, like, they're not getting, like, it's not, like, it's not office hours anymore. So some people may have, like, you know, doctor's appointments. Some people may want to play, I don't know, League of Legends with their friends. Some people may have a daughter to go to catch the, you know, to the school and to bring back and cook food for their, you know. So again, some people do drop by. Like I saw some names, for example. I was like, oh yeah, they're here, right? But they don't have to, and they shouldn't have to, right? It's like they can do if they want to, and they can drop out if they want to as well. Okay. Grappling again, like we said, no grapple. Too many animation for that. Do you feel like you're punching above your weight? I mean, constantly, right? Like you as a small company, it doesn't prevent you from kind of wishing that you wanted to, like we want to aim for the stars, right? A lot of time, you want a lot of things, but it's hard to limit yourself just because you're small, and you're like, oh, we're small, so we're not gonna do the great things. We're just gonna do the small things. It's one of the reasons why, you know, small games can also sometimes have too much, or like, you know, not really like finish well. It's because like you have an ambition, and that's normal. You want your game to be the best it can be. Sometimes that means that yes, you have to sacrifice some things. So that is notably the very, very, you know, very, how do we say that, ungrateful work. Like it's basically like when, for example, our production director has to play the bad guy sometime. She has to come in and say, guys, I know you wanted A, B, C, and D, but we are 37. We're not 400. We cannot have A, B, C, and D. So we need to cut something. You have to choose what we don't do. And of course, people are going to be like, fuck, that sucks. You know, like, we want the fourth thing. We want A, B, C, and D. Like, why don't we try to do A, B, C, and D? And she's like, no. Like, obviously, it's not going to happen because we don't have the time. We can barely make 3 of those. We cannot make 4. So, begrudgingly, we have to choose and say, okay, we'll remove B, right? We'll remove B, and maybe later, if we have the time, we can add it back. Spoiler alert, we never have the time later because she's right. She's right. We don't have the time. We don't have the people. And because of that, like a lot of time people are like, oh, you know, like, oh, she's so annoying. Like we can't make what we want. But it's like, she's right. She knows that we don't have the time. And if we try to do all those things, we end up doing all those things poorly. You know, it's like all 4 things just don't work well. So yeah, it's a very vital role, production, in video game development. And a lot of the smaller studio that kind of like end up failing sometimes is also because of feature creep. You know, you heard about that, right? You have too many ideas, you want to do too many things, and you don't have someone like, let's say, that who is strong enough to say no to these. Because like it's a hard role, right? To go and say no to your CEO, to say no, we cannot have those, right? And it's a very hard role. And that's why, like, it's a very important role. And that's why, like you're saying, sometimes we are kind of feeling like we're punching above our weight. and then we also have to balance it out with the reality of things. Did you ever play Temple of Illimited mode in Solasta? No, I played 3 different campaigns for Solasta, the custom campaigns. One was Island of something that was actually a sequel to another one I played. Sorry, I forgot the names, but I love those. I think it was Art Yoens who made those. How many fans would you estimate Solasta has? It's hard to say because what's a fan, right? If we're talking players, we know that Solasta 1 had more than 1 million players, when you count like the Game Pass and the people who bought it on Steam and all that kind of thing. Alright, let's see. BG3 get too powerful too quick? I think we have the same problem for now. Because there's a lot of combat in Solasta, so we give out a lot of experience. And because the combat are pretty hard, the experience is also pretty high. I think when the early access will get updates, we might have to rebalance the amount of experience that the monsters give, because unlike a tabletop game, you have a lot more fighting, and because you have a lot more fighting, you're getting a lot of XP way too quickly. So we have to see if we shouldn't lower a little bit by a portion the amount of XP you gain just from combat. Okay, Green Mage not in for Solasta 2. Let us see. I think we're pretty much done. With ready action implement, can we do 2 cool things like trip enemies with a crossbow? Not sure. Crossbow doesn't have trip, right? I think crossbow has pushback and slow. Am I wrong? Am I smoking here? Does the crossbow has like trip? Okay, it has push. All right. Blah 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 blah. Let's see. Avoiding scope creep. Yeah, like I already said, Mac is not gonna be a thing. Do you want to expand in the future, or do you want no? One of the big thing that Mathieu, our CEO, is very adamant about is to stay human size. And by human size, it means that you basically know everyone in the company. I think 40 is kind of like maybe a bit more, right? Maybe 40, 50 is the limit. But the thing is, like, Mathieu already made a big company in the past. He was a co-founder of Amplitude Studio. Amplitude Studio is known for the Endless series, like Endless Space, Endless Legends. And they grew, and Mathieu ended up basically just doing management and like having to do presentation for like Sega once they got bought by Sega. Basically, they were spending all their day, like Mathieu was spending all his days just doing business and management thing, and he hated it. He wants to be close to the game. He wants to remain close to the game. So there is, I think, little chance that we'll grow like double our size. Because at this point, we will be able to make a bigger game, but we lose also what makes like tactical, like a kind of like a team of craftsmen, because like we're all very experimented people. Like most of us have more than 5 to 10 years in the video game industry. So, well, now mostly 10 plus years, because we've been alive for 6 years, like Tactical Adventures. So it's basically small size, but like everyone knows their shit. And as much like whenever you add people, it becomes like more and more complex, right? So, will we have a height slider? I'm not sure. I don't think so, actually. Will you create Moonasta in sci-fi in the future? You do. So, to answer your question, probably not, but a lot of people inside the company like the sci-fi setting as well. So there is a world where we might do a sci-fi game one day. Let's see. Will Solasta 2 depend on the success of 2? Solasta 3? So we don't know if there's going to be a Solasta 3. We don't know if there's going to be a Solasta 3. That's way far off, right? Like, first of all, let's make a good early access. Let's make a good 1.0. If a 1.0 is very good, let's make some DLC to that kick ass, and then we'll think about the future. All right. I just want to say thank you so much for doing community stream. They're really fun, and I really enjoy talking about the game before it release. Well, you're welcome. I also really much enjoy talking to you guys, like your players, and kind of enjoying the vibe that we have people that are very much looking forward for the game. It's always like very humbling, and as a reminder that we're working for something, right? Because when you are day in, day out in front of your computer just working on a game that no one ever sees because you haven't released it yet, it can be very daunting, because like you might always be thinking about the negative, like, oh, this thing is broken, oh, this thing doesn't look good, oh, people are gonna think it's shit, you know, all those kind of thing. And we kind of forget the simple joy of people just playing the game. And yes, maybe some things are broken, maybe it's not perfect, but the game is enjoyable. And to be honest, like we kind of received this kind of like reality check when recently we also have like internal you know, testers. Not internal, but like we have some very like experienced like play testers who like basically rate games before they come out, and that kind of lets you know like what the problems are. And we received one like recently where the guy was like, you know what, the game is really interesting. Like I would play that game, and I was like, whoa, oh yeah, the game's good. The game's good. Like, of course the game is good, but like you kind of need reassurance. You kind of need people to tell you that the game is good, because at some point you're like, what if people don't like it, right? So it's always nice. All right, Lunasta. Oh yeah, Lunasta for the moon, right? Okay, when does Spelljammer Solasta come out? That might be an idea, right? It's kind of it's kind of like D&D related. All right. Well, thank you very much. I'm not gonna answer that last question because it's kind of long. I went over it in the previous stream as well, so you know, again, we might talk about it like another time. But thank you so much for like joining us today. And I'm pretty sure this is the last stream before the early access launches. So the next stream will probably be the early access launch stream. It will likely be in the studio, so no cat being annoying right now, turning around my computer. But it will feature a lot more people. The goal will probably be to stream from the studio and have whoever wants to come by to say hello, just drop by. So you might see a lot of different faces. We might see some programmers. We might see some level designers, maybe even some artists. Although artists are a little bit more shy. They usually don't really like to be on stream. So you might not see some artists. So yeah. We also have like, yeah, we're gonna extend as well. Like, you know, maybe the IT guy wants to come in because he's... Oh, by the way, you know, when I said about the fact that just people just don't just do their job at the studio, our IT guy is also working on helping for cleaning up the cinematics sometimes, right? It's like, it doesn't have anything to do with his job description, but he can do it, so he does it. So it's pretty cool. So yeah, all good. All right, cheers, people, and see you guys next time. Remember, not next Tuesday, but the Tuesday after that, it is the big character creator reveal. So look forward to that. See you, people. Bye bye.